Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Building on Goodwill's Legacy of Reuse, Repurposing, and Recycling in Greater Nebraska. This is Julie Deagle, Executive Director of the Nebraska Recycling Council. The Nebraska Recycling Council is a statewide member-based nonprofit organization supporting communities, businesses, solid waste, and recycling industries to improve recycling collection and infrastructure. Our mission is to maximize the economic and environmental benefits of resource recovery in Nebraska. Our guest presenter is Tammy Slater, Chief Executive Officer of Goodwill Industries of Greater Nebraska. Tammy will give a presentation about the materials management activities of her organization, serving 55 counties in central and western Nebraska. Goodwill Industries of Greater Nebraska is dedicated to helping people with disabilities or barriers to reach their goals and improve their quality of life. Tammy has been CEO since 2010. She began her career in the alcohol and drug rehabilitation field for adult women, then served as Executive Director of American Red Cross Hall County Chapter, followed by 19 years as Vice President of Human Resources and Services Administration for Chief Automotive Technologies. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in Human Resources Management from Bellevue University. Tammy has served on several nonprofit boards in the Grand Island area and is involved with the local Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, Grow Grand Island Committee, Stewart Museum, and Restore. She is also a graduate of the Leadership Tomorrow class. During the webinar, please type your questions in the chat box as they come to mind. They will be answered either during the presentation and/or at the end. A recording of this presentation will be available on our website, nrcne.org, under the Resources tab. Thank you again for attending, and with that, I will turn the presentation over to Tammy Slater.
Julie, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. Good afternoon, everyone. I thought it was important when we talked about Goodwill Industries of Greater Nebraska today that I gave you maybe a very high-level view of our Goodwill. What I think is most important is many times when people hear Goodwill or see Goodwill, they see our stores, which is a very important part of what we are all about, but we are so much more than that. So as Julie highlighted our mission statement, our dedication is to helping people with disabilities or barriers achieve their goals and improve their quality of life. So our focus every day at our Goodwill is ensuring that individuals with various barriers, mental illness, and intellectual disability have the same opportunities that you and I have to create that purpose in their life. Our vision, of course, is to provide that opportunity to improve their quality of life, but also what is their greatest potential. So when we look back on our history, we are celebrating 50 years as an agency in June of 2018. But as you can look at the slide, Julie, it has the history, thank you. We started actually as part of the Omaha Goodwill back in 1965, had a retail store here in Grand Island. And then in 1968, we were incorporated, serving 22 counties. And now we have spread, starting in 2002, to 55 counties. So we have a large piece of land that we're responsible for, basically from Columbus to Scotts Bluff. That is not only stores, collecting donations, but also providing services throughout the 55 counties. Our next visual shows the actual picture of our corporate office here in Grand Island. We have what I consider a campus where we have our corporate office with about 100 employees here, but we're providing services at one of the locations here. That's our corporate building, as well as every day we are serving over 50 individuals a day in our behavioral health program. So if we go to the next slide, it actually shows the territory that I've talked about. Many of you may be spread across the same territory. So it just shows all of the area that we are providing service to. The next slide outlines our corporations, because we are much more than just, again, our operating side of the business, which of course is all of the different areas that we cover, but we also have separate entities with separate board of directors, separate budgets, not only for our Goodwill Industries of Greater Nebraska, but also we do housing. So we have a Central Nebraska Goodwill Housing 1 and 2, and those are HUD-supported housing units that we manage for individuals that live independently but have a diagnosis of a mental illness. So it's not a 24/7 residential, it's truly that individual's home. And in each of the units, we could have 4 to 6 to 8 individual apartments. And there may be families. It may be a 1-bedroom or up to a 2-bedroom apartment. We have many of the people that we have served that live in these apartments, but we also open that up to the public as long as there's a mental illness diagnosis. We also then partner with 2 other entities and have 35 units that are spread from Columbus to Scottsbluff. And then our last entity that I wanted to highlight is we do have a foundation or our fundraising arm to support our overall organization. So if we go to the next slide, Julie, kind of gives you a summary of the size of our Goodwill. Of course, every Goodwill is autonomous. We're a member organization of Goodwill International, but this just shows our Goodwill Industries of Greater Nebraska. We've got a budget of a little over $15 million. We have 285 employees. So with our internet being out today, I have about 200 very unhappy employees right now, struggling to do their job. Again, our territory you've seen, you can see we have about a little less than half of the population in the state, but we are servicing almost 200,000 households. We have 8 retail stores in 7 communities. We have 2 stores in Grand Island. And then in this last year, we opened up the outlet. So if a product does not sell in one of our stores, then historically it would become part of our recycling. So then we would partner with vendors and sell our recycling for so much per pound. But what we're doing now is we are attempting to take the products that did not sell in our stores after they've been on a certain cycle of being in that store, and we attempt to sell it one more time at our outlet. We only have one outlet, so all of those products are moved to this location. And because this was a new endeavor this last year, we actually have the outlet location attached to our corporate building. It was a storage area before, and now it's our outlet. So it's an opportunity to try to sell things that did not sell in one of our stores, but it's not sold per piece, it's sold per pound. What we have found, which is very interesting, is our customer base. We only operate Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 7. Our audience for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that customer base are remarketers, individuals that are buying things so much per pound, and then they're putting that product and reselling it either online, a flea market, whatever their venue might be. So what it has helped us do is bring in more money for those products per pound, because it might be from 49 cents a pound all the way up to $1.99, where right now when we sell a bale of textiles, it's at 16 cents. So it just gives us an opportunity to get one more squeeze out of that product before then it would be recycled and then sold again to the vendors in an 800-pound condensed version of all of the products we've baled, and we sell that then for right now at 16 cents. Of course, those of you that are in commodities, which would probably be the bulk of everyone on the call, we all know they can be 2 cents, and then we could have the heydays as we did a couple years ago at almost 30 cents, particularly for our textiles, which would be clothing product. The other thing I wanted to highlight on here is within that territory that I've shown you on the map, we have 7 mission service offices. So individuals, staff house those locations. We lease those entities, and then we provide service to individuals in that area. An example would be in Kearney each day, we're serving approximately 15 individuals with intellectual disability at one of our facilities. If you would go to Hastings, we'd have probably 35 to 40 individuals on a typical day. If you'd go to Columbus, we would be serving about 30 individuals a day in a very structured program in our day services, serving people with severe and persistent mental illness. So if we look at our total assets, we either own or lease about 15 different locations, again, whether it's a retail store or mission services. So Julie, if you can go to the next slide, please. All right. It would be the next one that has the listing of the department. I think we're going backwards. Thank you. Of course, being an organization as large as 15 million, the next couple slides are really just highlighting our different departments, your typical things that you would have from finance to IT, facilities, etc. The next slide, Julie, is talking about the mission services. You can go one more for me. This is what I had referenced earlier. The focus and the mission of our Goodwill, as I mentioned earlier, is serving individuals with barriers. So the areas that we serve cover our behavioral health services, again, individuals with severe and persistent mental illness. Now, the thing that we do as an organization, we are serving the individuals that really have no other place to go. They have exhausted because of their illness, ability not to manage their illness. They probably have no family left. They're couch surfing, they've been hospitalized, they might be homeless. So we're serving a very serious population. And without our store revenue and recycling revenue, we wouldn't be able to provide all the services on this sheet here that you're looking at, because again, the other monies come from state and federal, and of course that does not support all of the services that we provide. So we're serving individuals in behavioral health, the developmental disability, someone with an intellectual or a physical disability, and then anyone we serve can go through our employment program. This is where we are working with individuals, again, back to the purpose that each of us have every day with our jobs and our lives. What is it that they have a desire to do or to learn? What kind of job do they want? And how do we assist them getting there? From as simple as helping them look for a job to applications, but also if it's education they want and they have the ability to do that, we would set them up and make those arrangements. So again, they can be working towards the goal like each of us have had in our lives. So we serve the people within behavioral health and developmental disabilities in our employment and career services. We also serve people in any of our communities, can go through our employment and career services, again, as long as they have the proper diagnosis that we receive our federal and state monies for. And of course, as I mentioned, we have housing as well. So let me quickly, if you'll go to the next slide, Julie. If we look at our territory, our Goodwill either at one of our 8 stores or at a donation drive. In 2017, we brought in 11 million plus pounds of product. And you might say, what kind of product? You name it, we get it. We are not like a regular retail store. When your product shows up for the week, we don't know what's in the bag. But we are so fortunate with all of the communities that are listed here. We go to each of those communities a minimum of 1 time. Many of those communities we go 2 to 3 times. And there are several of those communities that we go to every 6 weeks. So when I talk about the 11 million pounds, those are donations we have received either again at the store or at one of these donation off-site locations. And what those are is a 53-foot trailer with Goodwill's logo on the side. We work with the city or other service clubs, and we bring the trailer to that location, minimum probably a week, up to 10 days. And then the community knows ahead of time we're coming, because what do people do with their items? Obviously, we don't want them to throw them in the trash, so it's convenience. A really big activity that also supports, because these small communities bring in over 1 million of that 11 million. And a lot of that happens during the summertime. We are following all of these small community garage sales. Myself, I live in Doniphan, which is between Grand Island and Hastings, a population of a little over 800 individuals. They do a community garage sale the first Saturday of every June. So we have our 53-foot trailer at a designated location. It's been at the same place for years. So when everyone is done with their garage sale, whatever they want to do to get whatever they want to get rid of, they then have a place to take it to. Then we bring it back to our Goodwill again and use that product in our stores, potentially in our outlet, or it may be something that isn't something we can sell. It can be, obviously, we have trash as well in that mix. If I look back on history of the pounds of donations that we get, we continue to see that grow, but the quality of the donation is going down. Just a few years ago, if we would open a bag that we received from any of you as a donor, we would say 70% of that would be product that we would be able to sell. 30% would be trash. Over the last few years, we continually see that going up, where it's more now, you open a bag and it's probably a 50-50, which of course adds cost to us because of the trash bill going up. I will say, which I should have highlighted this when I talked the outlet, that the opening of the outlet in 2017, we saved over $50,000 in our trash bill because, again, giving it one more opportunity before it's bailed or it's so bad it needed to go to the trash. So if you don't see your community listed here under donation drives, my contact information is, I'm sure, on the recycling website as a board member, so then that way we'd love to hear from you and work something out. Julie, do you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, please? Okay, of the 11 million pounds of donations that I referenced, 3.3 was recycled, a little over 2 ended up in the trash. So then obviously that leaves us with, almost 7 million. And then what we do for everything that we recycle of that 3.3 million pounds, we have balers in each of our stores. So as they are sorting the donations, they're putting it in the place that's going to be put out on the floor to sell, or it's going to be baled. So we are creating those bales as we go through the product. Obviously, good flow there, so we're not touching it more than we have to. Then once the baler is full, then again, we create that bale, which they average about 800 pounds. And then when we have enough, then a semi-trailer from a broker that we've partnered with then comes and picks up the bales. And again, we're paid at that 16 cents currently per pound. So we, on a typical week, we probably have, oh goodness, 3 to 5 semis hauling our recycling out. We average recycling revenue about $60,000 a month at this 16 cents a pound that we're getting. Now, I'm really referencing a lot the textile, the clothing, because that's the majority of the things that we get. But you'll see a little bit later, we recycle all sorts of other things. But of these that we sell in the 800-pound bales, again, mostly textile, shoes, belts, purses, etc., those end up around the world, because we all know what you and I think is acceptable for something to be sold in a Goodwill store. We get lots of things that you and I wouldn't even think about wearing. And if it's the only shirt you have in a foreign country or a poor part of the United States, it doesn't matter. The other thing I've really learned is I like my shoes to match. I like them to be in good shape. But you know what? As we all know around the world, as long as they have shoes on, they don't have to match. So we do not only single shoes, but match shoes when we recycle. So Julie, if you'd go to the next slide for me. I just thought you might find it interesting, just our current payment on our recycling prices. And you can see the main things that we recycle, but we're always looking and baling and recycling other type of product. But our standard ones are banded shoes, single shoes, as you can see there. Books is huge for us. If you've ever been in a Goodwill store, we have a whole section on books. And now in this last year, we also have been selling books, university books, high school books, college books, specialty books online with Amazon. We have a partnership with them. But anything we don't sell, we recycle. Credentialed. Credential is what we sell. That means we receive so much product, which we do at certain times of the year, we have not sorted through the bags, so they pay us more because they think the gems haven't been pulled out. So we do a little bit of credential. We do a lot of rags. Not only do we partner with some manufacturers in the area that we just sell them to, but we also bale and sell those. I mentioned the purses, hats, and belts. Soft toys, we have more stuffed toys than you can ever imagine. And then a newer type of recycling we've been doing is bric-a-brac. We haven't had a lot of success with this, but our definition of bric-a-brac is they want a real mixed load. They don't want just books or rags. They want a little bit of everything. We're finding that's a little labor intensive for us. And then I know when Julie and I talked, one thing that was big was glass. And honestly, we had to get away from doing glass because, first of all, the danger of it, because, you know, obviously it has to be broken. But the other challenge we have is it takes forever to fill the Gaylord size that we use to operate our whole operation. And then if by chance that is damaged in any way, we had glass everywhere. Because something that we do provide here at Goodwill is some of our workers, not all of our workers, but some of our workers in the production area are the people that we're serving. We're teaching them skills. And so we just felt the risk was not worth it, and we were having trouble finding people to buy it. But over time, there's been several different things. We've had different vendors that only wanted boots, so we would recycle boots. We've had recyclers that would buy our hard toys, so we did hard toys. It's ever changing. That's the challenge for our retail stores, and anyone that touches product is to know what might be worth more than, again, just bailing it. So that's a continual challenge for us. So with that, I'd like to end it with questions. Julie, I cannot see my screen if I have any questions typed in. Can you help me with that?
You bet, Tammy. Yeah, we did have a couple of questions. One was on the community garage sale, the one that you mentioned in Donovan, that you had time every year. It says that sounds like a good model. If a community wanted to do something similar, how would they set that up with you?
Actually, they could just call me direct. And my direct number is 308-384-7896, extension 273.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I would love that.
Information.
Yes, love that.
For everyone. Here was a question. I don't know if you'll want to answer it, but you mentioned that the quality of donations was going down and that your annual landfill bill was getting higher, and that, let's see, you said something about, that you saved $50,000 on your trash bill just by opening that outlet. Do you have, would you want to share the total trash bill? Or if not, do you have any plans to open other outlets?
Actually, I'd be glad to share the trash bill. Our trash bill prior to 17 in 2016 was $150,000 approximately. And so the outlet obviously was a big impact, and that's how we really made the outlet that 50,000 offset, because on a typical day in an outlet we'll bring in about $1,500 of revenue, but that doesn't necessarily cover all of our costs. So that trash savings really offset that. We would love to do more outlets, but here's the problem for us. You have to have enough product to keep it stocked. And based on our 8 stores and the current level of product that we're bringing in, which has continued to grow a little bit each year in pounds, but again, the quality is not there, we really could not keep another outlet full at this point. Would that be my dream? Yes, it would. Here's some other things that we've talked about is, I'll use Broken Bow, Nebraska as an example. They have wanted us to have a store there for many, many years. And we do a donation trailer every 6 weeks in Broken Bow, and they fill that 53-foot trailer consistently. So we've talked about having a store, maybe / outlet, but yet in Broken Bow, and maybe it's only opened a few days a week, but yet it would collect donations every day. So those are some of the models we've looked at. But of course, we are fortunate enough to have our own fleet of trailers and tractors and CDL drivers. But you know, when it's $3.27 a mile to haul your things back and forth, you know, Broken Bow to Grand Island is a long ways. And if a store isn't able to supplement themselves, it's very pricey. And right now our outlet where it's located, we made the choice to attach it to the headquarters here because I didn't want to take the risk of leasing something and maybe it didn't go as we thought it might based on the pilot. But we just wouldn't be able to, we don't move enough product through all of the stores to keep it as full as the outlet needs to be. Does that make sense? That was a long answer, sorry.
No, thank you. That was good. I have another question for you too. What changes have you
Great.
noticed over the years as retail clothing has become so inexpensive? Have you experimented with having unwanted clothing ground down into fibers to create new materials rather than landfilling them?
Yes, we have looked at it, not during my tenure as CEO, but we definitely always, it's always in the radar screen, but we haven't done that. We really spent a lot of time a couple years ago, particularly with denim, and there was some interest there. But the short answer really is no, but we're going to have to do that. Because our real challenge right now is just retail in general. Even though we are a different model than your stores in your local malls, reality is our customer count continues to go down into our stores because people are shopping online. That's why we do some of our products online now, and much more from 16 to 17, and will continue to grow because we don't have the same foot traffic we used to. Our average Goodwill shopper, I'm using quotes, is 60 years old on up. They're the people that have the time and love to do the treasure hunt that many people reference us as. And so how do we make the store more attractive to any shopper? But then also, how do we get them in there? And some people just, they're buying everything online. So, but yes, we need to get, we're continually looking for new ways. Honestly, in this last year, adding an outlet and doing things online were two huge activities for us. And, $50,000 to us is a big deal to save. So.
That's really interesting. Another question, are there any particular problematic materials that you get? I imagine there would be some that you get all the time. I'm personally thinking of, the cheap furniture that's made out of particle board that falls apart, breaks easily. I don't know if that's one of them or if it's something else.
Really, the biggest challenge we have are TVs. Because, it's so hard to get rid of a TV because of the innards of the TV. We just are challenged with that. The other thing we get that we just automatically automatically put in the trash is mattresses. Every night after dark, we get a lot of stuff dropped off at the back door of a store. That's mostly junk stuff that unfortunately then we end up putting into the landfill. But the pressed wood or other things, no, I can't say, because you know what? For somebody, it meets their needs. And the big push with the repurposing, every what I would consider junky piece of furniture, chair, table, oh my gosh, they go out of here faster than anything, because people are repurposing them in whatever fashion. So I find that, quite amazing. And we have, like I said, we've got remarketers coming in. We've got a little shop downtown here that it's a place where you can go and like paint or do repurposing activities. She's a regular at our place and takes cartload of metals out of here. We get a lot of metals. Today I walked by the outlet and there has to be 65 golf clubs in just a little container that we have there. So, we get such a variety. But here's the other thing. I talk about the things we have to figure out how to get rid of. It is amazing to me every single day the quality things that we get that we're able to put in our store, and the quality things that the right customer didn't come in to buy it at our store, so now it's in the outlet. It just amazes me every day. So you never know what you'll find.
It sounds like a good pitch for your outlet store.
Yes, definitely.
There's a question on mattresses too, like about quantity. How many mattresses would you say that you get every year? Any idea?
Oh, I don't know if I could do the math quick enough, but I'd say we'd have a half a dozen a weekend that we get. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But here's something we are doing. Again, not necessarily connected to recycling, but it's just the creativity you have to do as a business. We're starting to sell new goods. Okay, so we're selling just things like socks, because that's something maybe people don't want to buy necessarily, but socks, booties, and we are selling new mattresses. They would be entry-level mattresses, but that's something we do a lot of giving to people that have various needs. We give certificates. Someone shows up, front office this afternoon, they've moved to town, they don't have anything except for the clothes on their back. We would give them a free voucher for clothes or whatever their needs might be. And the most request we get is mattresses. Now, we will not be giving new mattresses away, at least at this point, but we will, by the time you start moving and storing things, we'll have some with torn packages and whatnot that I'm sure we will eventually, there'll be a day when we're giving some of that away. But mattresses are just a nightmare. That and furniture that's, just beyond filthy. Because of course the challenge we have is bed bugs, just like everybody does. So what we receive, the reason we receive everything outside as we do is so, again, we can acknowledge if we're able to, which I have to say, we haven't had any bed bugs for years in our stores, but that doesn't mean that mattress that we got outside doesn't have bed bugs. So we deal with that accordingly. So didn't think I'd become an expert on that topic, but unfortunately I have. So, Julie, any other questions?
I don't see any more questions, Tammy, but I do want to say thank you so much for a really interesting, informative presentation. You're doing a lot of great stuff out there, and I thank you for being a presenter for us today.
Thank you very much. And again, if people want to talk about anything I've mentioned today, like I said, 308-384-7896, extension 273.
Be sure and check this recording if you want to listen to something again that you weren't quite sure about. It will be on our website under resources. And with that, thank you all for attending, and we'll stop the recording and end the webinar. Thanks again.